Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking something absolutely fascinating and honestly a little mind-bending. Have you ever wondered if your daily choices might not actually be yours? Today, we're looking at the unseen psychological engineering operating just beneath the surface of the products we use every single day. We're going to uncover exactly how massive global markets essentially build, shape, and monetize our daily habits. From the phone in your pocket, to the snack on your desk, to the electronic devices people carry around, there's a very distinct blueprint at work. I want you to start by just thinking about your morning today. The alarm went off, right? Did you immediately reach over and scroll through your phone, maybe checking for a phantom buzz? Did you then walk into the kitchen and start the coffee maker like a zombie without even really thinking about it? How much of that morning routine did you consciously choose to do, and how much was just automatic? Keep that personal reflection in the back of your mind, because that automatic behavior is literally the exact currency of the global industries we're analyzing today. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the science of habits. Second, how we get hooked on apps. Third, the engineered bliss point. Fourth, vaping and nicotine loops. And finally, the regulatory pushback. First up, the science of habits. To put things into perspective right out of the gate, a landmark study from Duke University revealed that 45% of our daily actions aren't actually conscious decisions at all. They're habits. Nearly half of your entire day is running on autopilot. So how exactly is that autopilot programmed? Well, it all comes down to the habit loop. This is a neurological concept famously outlined by author Charles Duhigg, and it consists of just three parts: a cue, a routine, and a reward. Together, they create automatic behavior. And this simple little loop, it is the foundational blueprint for modern consumer loyalty across almost every sector of the economy. Let's break those three steps down real quick. Step one is the cue. This is the trigger that commands your brain to act. It could be an alarm, a sudden feeling of boredom, or a notification ping on your screen. Step two is the routine. This is the actual behavior you perform in response, like opening up an app or grabbing a snack. And step three is the reward. This is the gratification your brain receives, a quick hit of dopamine or a sudden feeling of relief. Over time, your brain links that initial cue directly to the reward, making the routine right in the middle completely automatic. Moving on to section 2, hooked on apps. Now, we often think of our favorite apps as just harmless daily conveniences, right? But the data shows they are explicitly designed to engineer our behavior. According to a 2023 Nielsen study, 75% of consumers explicitly say they prefer brands that fit naturally into their daily routines. Why? Because it severely reduces the friction of decision-making. Basically, we don't want to think. We just want things to happen. Tech companies know that if they can become your default habit, they win your loyalty and your daily active usage without you ever having to consciously choose them. Let's look at how a few major brands actually use this in practice. Starbucks uses the very natural morning cue of waking up to trigger your coffee purchasing routine, which is then heavily reinforced by their rewards program. Apple reduces friction so beautifully across their whole device ecosystem that picking up your iPhone just becomes the default routine for literally any daily task. Spotify uses the cue of a Monday morning to trigger the routine of checking your Discover Weekly playlist, and they reward you with the social currency of finding new music. And the Calm app? They use a simple notification cue to build a routine of a 10-minute daily meditation, delivering a really powerful emotional reward of stress relief. It is the habit loop in pure digital form. Let's shift gears to section 3, the engineered bliss point. Now, what's really interesting here is transitioning from the digital world to the physical world of ultra-processed foods, because the sheer level of calculation is absolutely staggering. We have to talk about the bliss point. This is the precise, calculated combination of sugar, fat, and salt, designed to massively light up your brain's reward center. Food scientists actively target this point to guarantee that eating feels incredible. It's engineered to be so intensely satisfying that it actually overrides your body's normal "I'm full" signals. Simply put, it makes it incredibly hard for your brain to tell your body to stop eating. That's exactly why it's so easy to accidentally polish off an entire family-sized bag of chips while watching a movie. And the way they pull this off is through synergy. Normally, combining ingredients should just equal the sum of their parts. But in ultra-processed foods, mixing fats, sugars, and salts creates this powerful multiplier effect. It produces a much, much higher dopamine rush in your brain's mesolimbic pathway than if you were to just eat the fat, sugar, and salt completely separately. The combination itself is the ultimate reward. Researchers, like Dr. Fazino and her team, actually classify these engineered foods into three distinct hyperpalatable clusters. Cluster 1 combines fat and sodium, think hot dogs or bacon. Cluster 2 combines fat and simple sugars, like cake and ice cream. And Cluster 3 combines carbohydrates and sodium, like crackers and pretzels. Studies show these specific engineered combinations can increase a person's consumption by up to 30% compared to non-engineered foods. And the financial result of all this physical engineering? Well, the ultra-processed food market is massive. Industry data projects that the UPF market will grow from $1.4 billion in 2025 to a projected $3.2 billion by 2035. This precise behavioral engineering, tapping right into our innate biological reward systems, is the primary macroeconomic engine driving that kind of growth.
Let's move on and see how this builds in Section 4, vaping and nicotine loops.
So we've looked at software and we've looked at food. Now enter the e-cigarette industry. This is where hardware, software, and chemistry perfectly merge to create what might be the ultimate engineered habit loop. The global vape market was estimated at roughly $45.7 billion in 2025, but it is projected to reach an absolutely staggering $462.1 billion by 2033. That is a massive 34.1% compounded annual growth rate. And this incredible macroeconomic surge is being fueled heavily by young adults and transitioning smokers who are adopting these devices as daily habits.
So how exactly are they achieving this kind of explosive growth? By techifying nicotine delivery. Manufacturers are intensely focusing on smart chipsets and tech-integrated devices that actually feature Bluetooth connectivity and usage tracking. We're seeing literal cross-industry collaborations between tech startups and nicotine manufacturers. They're taking the digital triggers we just saw in the app world and integrating them directly into the physical delivery of a highly addictive chemical. They are making the habit loop hyper-personalized and completely seamless.
Which brings us to Section 5, the regulatory pushback. Of course, when you engineer human habits on this kind of massive scale, you create huge societal ripples, and governments are aggressively pushing back. Look at the timeline. In 2024, the UK, Australia, and New Zealand heavily restricted or entirely banned disposable vapes, primarily due to soaring youth usage and electronic waste. In 2025, California legislated bans on unhealthy ultra-processed foods in school meals to combat metabolic disorders. And looking ahead to 2026, massive markets like India are evaluating strict health taxes on UPFs. The global regulatory landscape is shifting aggressively to try and break these loops at a systemic level. But, these industries aren't just standing still. The response is rapid industry reformulation. To escape restrictive categorizations and maintain their market dominance, companies are aggressively altering their products. Food manufacturers are out there developing UPF-light products, tweaking sugar and sodium levels, and using natural stabilizers just to achieve a clean label. Meanwhile, vape manufacturers are advancing biodegradable hardware and returnable pod programs to dodge environmental bans. It's an evolving cat-and-mouse game between engineering and regulation.
Which brings us to a final, pretty provocative thought. Knowing the science behind the bliss point in your food and the habit loop in your phone, are your daily choices truly yours? Or have you just been flawlessly programmed by the market? Next time you seamlessly reach for a snack or unlock your screen without thinking, ask yourself, who really made this decision? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.